Good morning, my confident, successful businesswomen. How are you, lovely ladies? Welcome to this week's Business Growth Insights. I'm on time, although you probably might notice I'm actually a day late. Now, there's a reason for that, and let me tell you, my God, while I'm setting up to see if I can see your comments, let me tell you, it has been...
Welcome to this week.
No echo. It has been an interesting week. So I moved today's Business Growth Insights to Wednesday because I was meant to be going yesterday to help a lovely lady with her workshop in Adelaide, live here in Adelaide. Good morning, Tiffany. How are you, lovely? And anyway, my partner last week on the weekend unfortunately came down with COVID, which meant that I could not go to my friend's thing yesterday because of course I'm a close contact. We live with each other and it was a group situation, so I couldn't go. But I decided, instead of confusing everybody, I'm still going to come live on Tuesday. So look, I can see we've got some amazing people joining us this morning. Say hi if you're joining me. I love to see your comments. All right, so without further ado, let's get going on with today's training. As usual, I've got some fantastic stuff to share with you. And what we're going to talk about this morning is why it's essential to keep growing your audience. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of the word audience, I, as a former performer, and sometimes I still perform on stage, I think of the audience, someone standing on stage looking out to an audience and a bunch of people. And what I find actually is that a lot of people have that same subconscious mentality. And this is essentially, when we think of the word audience, what can actually give us literal stage fright and stop us from putting ourselves out there in business. So I want to talk about a lot of things to do with the word audience today and why it's essential to keep growing your audience, and also how. So what is the definition of audience? Like I said, if we stop thinking about it just as someone who's standing on the stage looking out to what essentially, looking out to an auditorium or hundreds or thousands of people, think about these points instead. People who follow you on social media or in other aspects of your business. So this is, this could be friends and family. Your friends and family are essentially your audience. And then as your business grows, you want to put yourself out there, obviously, to not just your friends and family. You want to put yourself out there in front of more and more people. So these are the people that you concentrate on building your social media following. And this is something that I love teaching my ladies how to work on in the Heart and Soul Business Academy. It is also about, the definition of audience is also when people access your content, whatever that content is, and they return for more. This is a really, really exciting part of growing your audience, because when this happens, when your audience really starts to grow, when you are, and as you're kind of putting more stuff out there, you're getting more clear in your purpose, your direction in your business, you're doing more stuff on social media, you're putting out all this fantastic content, and people are coming back. Like, they want to see more. This is why essentially I love doing trainings like this, because what I love to see is that, the more I do these trainings, A, the better I get at them. But B, people do return for more of either this type of content or other stuff that I'm putting out there. And this is what I love, helping my clients grow their audience through putting some really fantastic, engaging content out there. And that's an important word too. You need to be able to engage with your audience. So not just put the content, not just put any content out there, content that people are going to go, oh, that's interesting, or I want to read more about that. And then they're going to want to engage more and return for more. And it's also people who subscribe. So an audience can be someone who subscribes to your content. So, for instance, if you have an email list, and I know that was something, I've said this many times before, an email list was something that, I struggled with for a long time. And I know a lot of people do actually. But it's when people, you might be putting like a free opt-in out there and people are subscribing to your email list, or they're subscribing to your podcast or your YouTube channel. Like there's all different things that people can subscribe to, even your blog. And so let me tell you too that I just want to make this clear, because sometimes when I say this, people, you can see all these things written on a screen and people will think, and I've spoken to many ladies who they'll go, oh, do I need to have all that stuff? Do I have to have straight away? Do I have to have an email list, a podcast, a YouTube channel? The answer is no, you don't have to have it all at once. Right? It's a wonderful thing to have it eventually, but it really all depends on where you are in your business at the moment. So, for instance, if you're just starting up in business, then I would honestly say the most important thing that you need to start growing is your email list. And then maybe look at something like a YouTube channel. And then when you've got a bit of experience doing YouTube, then go to something like the podcast, right? The other thing is too, with these types of things, like the more things you do, the more time it takes. And so, excuse me, we want to make sure that we're not spending too much time on so much content, especially if you're the only one running your business. Look, I can tell you, oh my God, can I tell you from experience that I've had a podcast in the past that ran for, it was dead on a year, actually. It was called the Purple Warriors Podcast. And I tell you that I did everything. It was only me in my business at that time, and I did everything. I promoted it, I booked the interviews, I recorded the interviews, I edited them, I uploaded them, and I promoted them. And, I was doing these interviews every week, or these podcast episodes every week. And for me to be doing that alone, it was actually because I was so dead set in having a podcast and thinking that I had to do it to be a success. What it was essentially doing was taking time out of my day, right? When I could have been doing other things in my business that were going to, that are going to be more focused on getting clients. While the podcast was great, it was only one arm. But I was spending so much time on it that it was taking away time from all the other arms. So you do want people to subscribe to your content, absolutely. But when I say things like email, podcast, YouTube, you do not need to have them all at once. One at a time, add as you can. And also an audience, the definition of an audience is you actively want people to seek you out, right? So that they can consume more of your content. This is where it comes back to you. Okay, so they're accessing your content, they're returning for more. But what is really exciting, and it's so exciting, is when people start to actively seek you out. You've been putting so much stuff out there, and in all these in different places. And for me, I mainly focus on Facebook, and that's what I teach as well. They see you on so many places on Facebook that they go, oh, I want to come back. I want to know more about this lady. Or you start to get you start to get a reputation of being an expert in your field. When you get that reputation of being an expert in your field, that is when people are going to actively seek you out so that they can consume more of your content. And this is what we call, when people are seeking you out, this is what we call warm leads. And so that is a very exciting part. I'm starting, I know that I'm starting to, and I know some of my clients are as well, they're starting to get known for what they do. And people are messaging them saying, can you help me? And that is really exciting when that happens. Oh, it's so good. So let's have a look at your audience and the fact that it is your biggest asset. It absolutely is your biggest asset. And so your audience, because it is your biggest asset, because, you want to make sure that you're concentrating on it all the time, and it must come first. You must nurture your audience, look after them. So it's got to come first before all the fancy pants stuff that we like to have out there. And while all this stuff is good, again, you're going back to podcasts. Well, it's really good to have a podcast, and it's great to have a nice looking website, and it's fantastic to have a scheduler and a fancy course. Your audience has to come first. You need to nurture and look after them so that then the right people in your audience, the right people who are meant to work with you, or you're meant to work them, or they're meant to buy your products, you're meant to help them with your products or services, they're the ones that are going to go down your funnel and start being your paying clients or customers. I'm going to talk about the sales funnel a little bit later. So another reason your audience is your biggest asset is because it will grow and change over time. Now, it's really funny. A lot of us can get, and I know this because I've done it, and sometimes I still do it. We can really get stuck on the numbers, right? And so it's like, I've only got 300 people who like my business page, and that person's doing so much better than me because they've got 500. It doesn't matter. Your audience, or someone, if you've got a group, I've got so many people in my group and she's got so many people in your group. The important thing to know that your audience is absolutely going to grow and change over time, because as you're putting yourself out there more and you're getting more specific, you're learning who your audience is. So you are going to start really honing in on your message. So what's going to happen is, yes, your audience is going to grow, but some people are going to leave, and that's okay. What that essentially means is that they're not your, maybe they're not in your target audience or your target market. I'm going to explain the difference in a minute. But you want to continue, why it's so essential to grow your audience is because you want to continually have new people. You continually want to keep it fresh. And essentially what that does is it challenges you as the business owner too, and putting yourself out there, which I personally find very exciting. So know who your audience is. It's the sales funnel, essentially. Exactly, Tiffany. And so, that's what I said. I was going to talk about the difference between a target audience and a target market. So your audience is people. Your audience is your bigger audience. So this is like people up the top of your funnel again, right, Tiffany, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Your audience is the people, the broad aspect of people that you talk to, right? But you still have to know who you're talking to. And so your target market is the people who are the right people who are going to purchase your products or services. So you see the difference. And again, I'll explain that a little bit more as we go again. But look at that graphic there, know your audience or you'll have no audience. And a lot of the time, I speak to so many ladies, and I just spoke to a lady the other day actually who says she said my audience is everybody. And I did that when I started as a virtual assistant too, and she said my audience is everybody, and I said, but if your audience is everybody, how are you going to reach that billions of people on earth? And this is that was my mentality. I'm going to speak to everybody, because we think that by speaking to everybody, we're giving ourselves a broader audience. Where actually what we're not, we're getting lost in the sea of billions of people, because we're not honing in on a specific audience. When we kind of get really clear on who we're talking to, that's when people start to engage with you. That's when people start to follow you. Specific on who your audience is. Yes, Pame, exactly. So how do we engage the audience when we're growing our audience? And to help grow our audience, to help refresh our audience as well, how do we engage them? Well, we need to provide content that scales. And what I mean by scale is we want these people to, excuse me, excuse me a minute. That's better. We want, by scaling, we want people to come down our funnel, right? We want to feed them through our funnel. So it's people when they get hold of our content, and that's when they want to go, I want to know more. And something that I love teaching the ladies in the Heart and Soul Business Academy is about how to write that content, and how to do a call, how to have the right call to action at the right time, so that it does scale. It scales your audience, but it also scales where that audience goes. It helps scale them down the funnel. I don't even know if that makes sense, but it makes sense up here. Anyway, as we're providing that content that scales, and you want it to be really high value content as well. That's really, really important that we make it high value content. And I love, again, this is something that I love teaching my girls how to do, is to write and prepare that content that is valuable, that people go, yeah, I want to know more. That the call to action, they've got people engaging on their posts. They're building their audience because of the engagement that they're getting. So that high value content is so important, and it doesn't matter what the content is, whether it is a quote, whether it is a quote from someone else or a quote from you, whether you're doing a training or a short Facebook Live, whether you're doing that podcast or a blog, or whatever you're doing, you want to make it high value. So people go, that's amazing. I love, if this is what she's doing now, I want to know more about what she's providing later. Or saying things like, I want to know more about working with that person. And so also when you're engaging with your audience, so this goes back to that target audience that we were talking about. But think about, this is also as important as it is to know your target audience, it's important to know yourself as well. So think about, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known for? So what do you want? Yes, you want your people to engage with you, but what do you want them to recognize you for? So for me, I want people to recognize me as someone who is authentic, who, goodness me, who says it how it is. And, I want people to recognize me for someone who puts her heart and soul into everything she does. And, there's a reason why I called my academy the Heart and Soul Business Academy, because I want to be known for someone who looks after my clients with heart and soul, and then they can do the same in their business. So when you're thinking about yourself and how you are putting yourself out there in business, how you are engaging with your audience, what do you want to be known for? Think about that. That's a really deep. The more I say that, the deeper that question gets. Ooh, it's a big one. And so when you're engaging with your audience, be honest, be relatable, and listen well. That's such an important one. So, don't fluff about, be honest. with your audience. People love honesty. People want to relate with you. When you are honest, people will know, and that's when they'll start to relate to you more. If you're not honest and relatable, people will know. People will feel it. And so they won't want to know more. And when you are honest and relatable, this is when you can really start to engage your audience. And when you do, the important thing is to listen. And I think this is something that a lot of us, including me, I haven't in the past been as good a listener as I could have, but you learn to listen to your audience. And sometimes silence, so what do I want to say? Sometimes by silence, they're actually saying something. And you can almost feel through the silence, if you like. I know that, we've just finished the first round of the Heart and Soul Business Academy. We've now got registrations open for the mid-year intake, which is exciting. But I know that in the first round, because it was my first time doing that, something that I made sure to do throughout the whole process was listen to my audience, listen to my clients. And it was interesting, and I used to do it in trainings as well, I think it was subconsciously, and they didn't even really know, but they'd say things and I'd kind of go, oh, okay, right. Okay, I understand, I heard what you're saying. Mentally, I'd go, oh, so maybe I need to change that. And actually, sometimes, they would actually say things to me, can you provide this? Can you provide that? And I would listen to them. But up the top of your funnel, when you're speaking to the broader audience, you want to really listen to what people are saying. Make sure you go back and check the comments, etc. I could go on forever on this topic, but I don't have time, so I'm going to move on. Keep it fresh. Always keep it fresh. Keep it interesting. You can update something. I teach my clients to repurpose content, which is a fantastic thing to do. But you can also repurpose your content and keep it fresh, doing at the same time. And I've got a really good process that I teach in the academy and how you can do that. But keeping it fresh so people want to continue to come back. What we don't want is your audience going, oh, that's just more of the same. You actually want to have, keeping your content fresh. So those are some ways that you can engage your audience. Another way is to be in your business. Now, let me explain this. So, don't work on your business in the background all the time. Yes, there's a time for that. Right, you can work on your business and you can set up all the organizational stuff and all the background stuff, but often people will focus on the background stuff and they'll work on their business but not be in their business. This being in your business is essentially putting yourself out there to grow your audience. If you don't do that, your audience won't grow. And so, like it says there, the road to success is always under construction. I love that quote by Lily Tomlin. Oh my God, I love Lily Tomlin. So, you're always continuously, like I've mentioned before, you're always continuously growing and building your audience. It's always changing. And like I said, I was going to talk about the simple sales funnel, Tiffany. Here we go, just for you, girlfriend. So the simplest version of the sales funnel is this. The why up the top. This is, you're telling people, this is why people want to follow you. This is, why you do what you do. This is speaking to the big, broader audience all over social media or wherever you are engaging people from. This is where and how you build your audience, is doing everything up the top of your funnel. Like I've spoken about, social media, quotes, email list, podcast, YouTube, lives, trainings, right? And again, you don't have to do it all at once. Build it as you go. Don't get overwhelmed. That's a lot of people do. Then you've got the what. So in the middle of the funnel is the what. So this is what you provide to help solve people's problems. So essentially what you do or what you sell, what you're going to do to help them. And then when you've shared the what, then they'll engage with you more, and that's when they go down to the how. This is how you help them. This is the paid products or the paid services. So this is the course that you provide, or the candles that you sell, or the preserves that you sell, or whatever you do. So it's exciting, but when you're thinking about building and growing and engaging your audience, we're always going up the top of the funnel first. And when you do that right, you are going to, when you do that right and you follow the steps that I've provided today, you're going to build and grow your audience, and the right people are going to come down your sales funnel. And it's really lovely. That's what I'm finding now at the moment. And that's what I'm loving, watching the first graduates of the Heart and Soul Business Academy. They're getting clients left, right, and center. And I'm loving watching it. It's awesome. So what are you thinking about that today? I would love to know. And what I would love to tell you, and I know sometimes when I talk about engaging people, engaging an audience and putting yourself out there publicly, or being in your business, people go, holy crap, no, I'm nah. Or they don't necessarily say it, but there's this inside feeling of not feeling confident enough to put yourself out there. So what I would love to do, we have a really special event happening next week. I have a 5-day challenge running in this group. Very, very exciting. And the challenge is all about rocking your confidence and making sales in your business. And this is brand new information, just like Phoebe's saying. So it starts next Monday, and it is at 10 a.m. Adelaide time every morning next week. And it's going to go for about an hour every day. And I am going to teach you brand new information in the areas of clarity, courage, confidence, communication, and consistency. And I am so excited for this challenge. I've actually sitting down yesterday and I was preparing all the content. I've got it ready to go, and it is amazing stuff that I'm going to share with all you beautiful ladies. So if you would like to come to the challenge, I want you to pop the word challenge in the comments, and what we'll do is we will make sure that we get you on the list so we can send you reminders, because there's a little workbook that goes with it. If you want to get hold of that workbook, you need to register, and there's some extra information that you will get as well when you actually officially register for the challenge. So pop the word challenge in the comments, and honestly, I am so excited for next week. I actually haven't done a 5-day challenge before. This is the first time I'm doing it. So I'm very excited. Every day next week for an hour. It's going to be so exciting. So look forward to seeing you ladies next week. Have a great week. And so next week it's going to be a little bit different. No business insights training next week, but we do have a fantastic 5-day challenge. So not only do you get me for one day, you get me for 5. It's going to be great. All right, beautiful ladies, I will see you soon. Have a fantastic day. Bye.